The galaxy had seen many kinds of ships, shining cruisers, silver battleships, and vessels built with light and plasma. But when the humans sent their first warship to the outer systems, everyone laughed. It looked slow, old, made of steel instead of glowing crystal or energy hulls. Reporters across alien networks called it a relic, a piece of junk drifting through space. They said humanity still lived in the age of rust and rockets. They mocked the engines, the armor, even the name USS Valiant. To them it was a joke, to the crew inside, it was home. Captain Rains stood at the bridge, staring at the stars without a smile. He was an old soldier, quiet, his eyes full of storms no one else could see. He heard the laughter echoing through the channels, yet he did not reply. The crew was young, nervous, and silent. They knew every alien camera was watching. Every movement, every word would be broadcast to billions who wanted to see humanity fail. "Sir," said Lieutenant Mara, her voice calm but low, "they are scanning us again." Rains nodded slowly, not looking away from the stars. "Let them," he said, his tone steady like steel. Outside the ship, 3 alien vessels circled, their hulls glowing blue, shaped like blades. They were scouts from the Thale Empire, a species known for arrogance and cruelty. Their commander laughed into the open channel. "Human vessel, your ship is primitive. You should surrender before you embarrass yourselves." The bridge went quiet, but Rains did not answer. He simply reached for his cup of coffee, lifted it, and said softly, "Keep course steady." The alien commander grew angry, his voice booming through the speakers. "Your silence is an insult. You think that metal coffin can fight?" Still no reply. The crew looked at Rains, waiting, unsure. Finally Mara whispered, "Sir, they are charging weapons." The captain placed his cup down, stood straight, and said, "Activate observation mode." The lights dimmed. The crew screens lit with red tracking marks. Energy readings rose sharply around them. The alien ships were preparing to fire. Everyone expected Rains to panic, to shout orders, to move. He did none of that. He turned to the crew and said quietly, "Record everything." Outside, the first plasma bolt left a trail of blue fire. It struck the Valiant's armor, exploding in a flash. The ship shook but did not break. The crew held their breath. Some gasped, some prayed. "Minor damage, sir," reported Engineer Cortez. "No breach." Rains nodded again, still calm. He whispered, "Primitive, huh?" The alien ships fired again, and again, each shot hitting but not destroying. The Valiant absorbed it all, smoke rising, alarms echoing softly through the halls. But inside, the crew's fear began to turn into something else. A strange pride. Then Rains spoke, his voice sharp and clear. "Let them laugh," he said. "They have no idea what this ship carries." Deep inside the Valiant, in a sealed chamber no one but the captain had entered, a dark hum began to rise. The lights flickered, the core systems shifted. The dark core was awakening. It was something alien scientists had said was impossible, an engine that could bend the silence of space itself. Humanity had built it in secret, hidden from the council, hidden from everyone. The aliens outside kept firing, cheering each time they thought they had broken through. But then the Valiant suddenly stopped moving, its engines quiet, its weapons cold. One alien officer laughed. "They are dead. Primitive engines can't handle plasma fire." And in that very second, every monitor on every alien ship flickered. Their targeting systems froze. The sound of static filled the air. A single voice came through. "Captain Rains." "Testing complete," he said. The aliens shouted, confused. "What test? What are you talking about?" Rains looked at his crew and said, "Prepare for Phase 1. The Valiant's hull started to glow faintly, not blue or green, but black. A kind of shadow light that swallowed all reflection. Every sensor went blind. The alien ships tried to pull away, but their engines would not respond. Inside the Valiant, Lieutenant Mara whispered, "Sir, are we really going to use it?" Rains gave her one look and said, "They fired first." The dark core hummed louder, a pulse of gravity and light building in its heart. And just before it released, Rains whispered a single word. Now! The screen went white for a moment, then silent. Outside the Valiant, the alien ships were gone. No wrecks, no fire, no debris, only empty space. The crew stared at the monitors, their mouths open. What did we just do? One asked. Rains took a slow breath. We reminded them, he said softly. That primitive doesn't mean weak. The bridge fell silent. Somewhere far away, millions of alien viewers watched their screens go black. The laughter stopped, replaced by fear. Humanity had just spoken. Not with words, but with power. And the galaxy, for the first time, listened. The galaxy went quiet after the first strike. 3 ships vanished. No explosion, no trace, no signal, only silence. The Galactic Council demanded answers, but there were none. No one could explain how a human ship had done that. Their sensors showed nothing, their systems crashed, their records erased in seconds. It was as if the universe itself refused to remember what happened. On Earth, news spread like wildfire. Some called it a miracle, others called it a weapon of terror. But inside the USS Valiant, no one celebrated. The crew sat in silence, listening to the hum of the ship's heart. Captain Rains stood near the main viewport, watching the cold light of distant stars. He did not smile, he did not speak. He knew the silence would not last long. Sir, said Lieutenant Mara, breaking the still air, we are receiving hundreds of transmissions. Rains didn't turn. From whom? He asked. The Council, the Thale Empire, the Aarkiri Federation, even the Draven Collective, she said. Rains took a deep breath. Ignore them. But sir, not yet. He interrupted, calm and low. The moment we speak, they'll demand an explanation, and then they'll start preparing for war. He looked down at the map of the galaxy glowing on the table. We need to move before that happens. He pressed a command key and said, Navigation, prepare for stealth mode. Set destination, Sector X-39. The crew hesitated. Sir, said Cortez, the engineer, that's the edge of the dead zone. No communication, no star data. Rains nodded slowly. Exactly. The engines began to shift tones. A deep vibration filling the hull like a heartbeat. Outside, the Valiant faded, its metal blending into the dark between stars. The ship became invisible, unseen, unheard, unreadable. It was more ghost than vessel now. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, chaos began. Alien leaders shouted in council halls. How can these humans build such a weapon? They were a Tier 2 species. They should not have this kind of power. Some called for treaties, others for destruction. The Thale Empire sent scouts to hunt for the Valiant. None returned. Rumors spread that the ship could vanish between moments, that it was not built by humans at all, that something else, something ancient, had helped them. Back on the Valiant, Mara approached the captain quietly. Sir, the crew is asking questions, she said. They want to know what that weapon was. Rains stared at the holographic display of the ship, showing the pulsing dark core. He whispered, It's not a weapon. It's a key. A key to what? Rains didn't answer. He only said, To something older than any of us. That night cycle, while the crew rested, Rains went alone to the lower decks. The dark core chamber was locked behind layers of security. The door recognized only his voice and heartbeat. Inside, the air shimmered like liquid light. The core floated above a cradle of black steel, spinning slowly, humming softly. It was beautiful and terrifying at once. Rains stepped closer, his reflection bending in strange shapes. He whispered, You're awake again, aren't you? And the core pulsed once, as if answering him. In that moment, somewhere far away, deep in another galaxy, something stirred. A signal went out. Faint, ancient, coded in forgotten languages. It spread through the void, bouncing off broken satellites and dead moons. Old machines woke up from long sleep, A warning repeated in 1,000 alien tongues. The core has returned. Back on the Valiant. Mara woke up with a sudden chill. She didn't know why, but her dreams were full of black light and whispers. She ran to the bridge and saw the captain already there, eyes fixed on the stars. "Sir, I felt something," she said quietly. He nodded. "So did I." He looked older now, his face pale in the dim glow. "The universe remembers us," he said slowly, "and it's not happy." Suddenly, alarms blared. "Multiple signals approaching," shouted Cortez. "Unidentified ships closing in fast." Mara checked the radar. 10 ships, surrounding them. "Thale interceptors," she said. "They must have tracked us somehow." Rains clenched his jaw. "Impossible. The stealth field is perfect." But the ships were there, surrounding them like wolves. A voice came through the comms, cold and sharp. "Human captain, this is Admiral Threx of the Thale Empire. Surrender the device you used, or be destroyed." The crew froze. Rains leaned toward the mic. "You already tried that once," he said. The alien admiral laughed. "Then this time, we'll finish the job." Dozens of energy blasts lit the darkness, crashing into invisible shields that shimmered like waves. The Valiant shook, metal screaming. "Shields at 70%, shouted Mara. Rains stared at the stars, his eyes dark. "Activate the core again," he said. Mara looked at him in shock. "Sir, if we use it again, we might." "Do it," he said. His voice was like iron. The lights dimmed. The air turned heavy. The dark core began to pulse faster, darker, stronger. Outside, the alien ships tried to pull back, but it was too late. A ripple spread across the void, bending light, breaking sound. One by one, the enemy ships started to vanish. Not explode, not burn, just disappear. Then silence again. The crew sat still, terrified by their own power. Rains finally spoke, his tone cold and quiet. "This isn't over," he said. "They'll keep coming until they understand what we've become." The stars flickered, as if listening, and somewhere beyond them, something ancient whispered back. Across the stars, fear began to spread. Every race that once mocked humanity now watched the news channels in silence. 10 Thale interceptors gone without trace. No wrecks, no signals, nothing but silence. Some called it an accident. Others whispered it was judgment. But everyone knew the truth. The humans had done something impossible. The Galactic Council held an emergency meeting. Holograms of 100 species filled the grand chamber, their voices loud and angry. "The humans must surrender their ship," one shouted. "They have disturbed the balance," cried another. But deep down, none of them wanted to get close to the Valiant, because even the bravest fleets feared what they did not understand. Meanwhile, the USS Valiant drifted quietly through a dust field near the dead zone. Its hull dark, its lights dim, like a ghost in the dark sea of space. Inside, the crew moved carefully, whispering instead of talking. Every sound felt heavier now, every heartbeat louder. The air was thick with questions no one dared to ask. Lieutenant Mara stood near the observation window, watching the silver dust swirl around the ship. She spoke softly. "Sir, are we safe here?" Captain Rains stood behind her, hands behind his back, eyes locked on the void. "Safe," he said. "There is no safety anymore. Not for us, not for anyone." She turned to him, her voice trembling. "What are we becoming, sir?" Rains didn't answer. His reflection in the glass looked older, colder. He whispered, "Exactly what they made us." Below deck, Engineer Cortez checked the dark core readings. Every pulse of that black light sent shivers down his spine. The energy it released wasn't like any radiation. It felt alive. Sometimes he swore he could hear it breathe. He turned off his scanner and whispered to himself, "We built something we don't even understand." And the core hummed, almost like it was listening. Suddenly, the radar blinked. "Unknown contact approaching," Mara reported. Rains looked at the screen, his eyes narrowing. One ship, small, fast, unarmed. He frowned. A scout. The message came through instantly. Human vessel, this is the AR Curie peace envoy. We come without weapons, requesting dialogue. The crew exchanged uncertain glances. Rains waited, silent. Put them through, he said. A hologram shimmered to life on the bridge, showing an alien woman with silver skin and calm blue eyes. Captain Rains of Earth, she said. The galaxy is terrified. You have unleashed something no one understands. If this continues, there will be war. Rains said nothing, his face unreadable. The envoy continued. Surrender the weapon and the council will offer peace. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Rains leaned forward and said quietly, Peace? The same council that called us primitive? That laughed when we asked for equal rights. The envoy hesitated. That was a mistake. Humanity has proven itself. Rains cut her off. We proved nothing. We survived. And survival is all we ever wanted. He ended the transmission. The hologram vanished, leaving only silence. Sir, Mara whispered. That could have been real peace. Rains turned toward her, his voice low but sharp. There is no peace built on mockery and fear. They'll come again, stronger this time. He walked toward the central console, tapping in new coordinates. We move now before they find us. But outside the ship, something strange was already moving. A massive shadow drifted through the dust field. A fleet, hidden until now, hundreds of alien ships powered up their weapons, surrounding the Valiant in a perfect ring. It was the combined fleet of 5 major empires. They had come together for the first time in history, united by fear. A voice thundered through every channel. This is High Admiral Varkon of the Galactic Union, humanity. You are under arrest for possession of forbidden technology. Power down your vessel or be destroyed. The crew stared in disbelief. Mara whispered, There are too many, sir. Rains stared at the tactical map, his eyes narrowing. Then they've already made their choice. Cortez's hands shook as he looked at the power core controls. Sir, the dark core isn't stable. Another activation might. I know, Rains said firmly. But if we don't fight, we die. The bridge trembled as the first alien salvo struck. Explosions rattled the decks. Sparks flew across consoles. Shields failing, shouted Mara. Hull at 60%. Rains stood tall, unflinching. He whispered, They still think we're primitive. Then louder, Prepare for full core discharge. The crew hesitated. They knew what that meant. The dark core began to roar, light and shadow twisting across the walls. The hum became a scream that shook the ship. Outside, the fleet scanners went blind, their systems overloaded by unknown interference. Rains raised his hand and said one word, Fire! A wave of darkness erupted from the Valiant. Not light, not plasma, but pure gravity tearing through space itself. Every ship it touched simply vanished, erased from existence. In seconds, the massive fleet was gone, the battlefield empty and quiet. The crew sat frozen. Cortez whispered, We didn't just destroy them. We erased them. Rains turned slowly, his face pale, eyes cold as ice. No, he said softly. We warned them, but far away, beyond the known stars, something ancient stirred again. A signal older than the galaxy itself answered the core's awakening. And for the first time, Captain Rains realized, humanity might not be the only one watching. The stars looked different now, somehow colder, quieter, as if they feared what had just happened. An entire fleet erased, not destroyed, but gone. And only one human ship floated in the silence, the USS Valiant. Its metal hull glowed faintly with the shadow light of the dark core, pulsing like a heartbeat. Inside, no one spoke. Even breathing sounded too loud. Lieutenant Mara sat at her console, hands trembling. Her eyes stared at the sensor screens that showed nothing. Not debris, not radiation, nothing at all. She whispered, We shouldn't have survived that. Captain Rains stood beside her, still, his expression unreadable. He finally said, We didn't survive it, Mara, we changed. His words hung in the air like a storm that refused to break. In the engineering bay, Cortez worked alone, sweat dripping down his face. The dark core's hum filled the room like a living voice. Every time he looked at it, his mind felt dizzy. The swirling black light wasn't just energy. It felt like thought, like it knew him, watched him, studied him. He whispered, "You're not a machine, are you?" The core pulsed once, a deep low note that made the floor vibrate, and on the control panel, strange symbols appeared. Glowing letters no one had programmed. Cortez called the captain, his voice shaking. "Sir, you need to see this." Rains entered the chamber, his eyes fixed immediately on the core. "What is that language?" Mara asked, following behind him. Rains looked closer, his expression darkening. "It's not alien," he said quietly. "It's human." The symbols rearranged, forming words in English. "We are awake." A chill spread through the entire ship. Cortez stepped back, whispering, "That's impossible." Rains said nothing, he simply watched. The core pulsed again, and new words appeared. "Who commands US now?" The lights flickered. The temperature dropped. It was no longer just a power source, it was something alive. Mara's voice broke the silence. "Captain, what is this thing?" Rains turned slowly toward her, his voice low. "Something humanity found, not built." The crew froze. He continued, 50 years ago, before the war, a mining station on Titan unearthed an artifact. It wasn't metal, it wasn't stone. It was a living core that responded to thought. They said it was too dangerous, too unstable. So they buried it, erased all records. But someone dug it back up, Mara whispered. Rains nodded. Project Valiant. He stepped closer to the core, his voice calm but firm. "You're not human, and you're not a machine. What are you?" The core pulsed brighter. The room filled with a deep resonance like 1,000 whispers speaking at once. Then the words appeared again. "We are the builders." Mara frowned. "Builders of what?" The lights dimmed further. "Of worlds, of stars, of life." The voice was not a sound but a vibration in their minds. "You awoke US from the ashes. Human captain. Now we see you." Cortez backed away, terrified. "Sir, it's reading our minds." Rains didn't move. "Let it." He looked up at the core, his tone calm. "If you see us, then you know why we fight." The core responded instantly. "You fight because you are afraid." Rains's jaw tightened. "And you don't understand fear?" The core pulsed darkly. "We do not fear. We remember." The ship began to vibrate violently, alarms flashing red, energy levels rising fast. Shouted Cortez. "It's activating itself." Rains barked, "Contain it." But the systems didn't respond. The core overrode every control. Outside, space itself started to twist, stars bending and stretching like reflections on water. Then a window opened, a massive rift of black light tearing through the void. Mara gasped, "Sir, that's not hyperspace, that's something else." Rains stared at it, his face pale. "It's a door," he said quietly, "and we just unlocked it." The voice of the core echoed again. The builders return. The cycle begins. The ship trembled as if caught in an unseen hand. Cortez screamed, "It's pulling us in." Rains gripped the console, shouting, "All reverse thrust, now." But it was too late. The Valiant was swallowed by the rift, vanishing from normal space. Silence returned to the galaxy, and every sensor across 1,000 worlds went dark for 7 full minutes. When the ship finally re-emerged, it was somewhere unknown. The stars were wrong, the space too quiet. Mara whispered, "Where are we?" Rains stared at the readings. There were none, no coordinates, no time signature. He whispered back, "I don't think we're anywhere." Behind them, the dark core pulsed once more, softer this time. "Welcome home," it said. The crew stared at each other, realizing the terrible truth. The Valiant had not just crossed space, it had crossed memory itself. And whatever lay beyond that rift was waiting for them. 7 days had passed since the USS Valiant vanished. 7 days of silence. No signal, no trace, no wreckage. It was as if the ship had never existed. Across the galaxy, the council chamber burned with noise and panic. Hundreds of alien voices clashed like storms. The humans have broken reality, one shouted. They have opened a forbidden gate, another cried. No one had proof, yet every empire felt it. The change in the stars. Something invisible pulsed through space, bending light and gravity. Old satellites fell from orbit, navigation systems failed. Entire sectors flickered with strange static. The galaxy was no longer steady. At the center of the chaos, High Counselor Varric slammed his claws on the table. Enough, he roared. We are facing extinction if we do nothing. An older alien with glassy eyes whispered, Extinction by whom? Varric's voice trembled. By whatever the humans woke up. Rumors spread faster than light. Some said the humans had merged with an ancient AI. Others claimed the Valiant had traveled to the heart of creation. But none dared to search for it. The fleets that once hunted humanity now stayed near their home worlds. Even the mighty Thale Empire locked its borders. Fear had replaced arrogance. The word primitive was no longer spoken. Meanwhile, far beyond known space, the Valiant drifted in a place where stars did not shine. The crew floated in weightless silence. The ship system still worked, but time felt different here. Minutes stretched like hours. Days melted into one another. Lieutenant Mara stared at the readings that made no sense. Sir, she whispered, we're not in any mapped universe. Captain Rains looked out the main window, his eyes cold and steady. Then we've gone exactly where they never dared to look. Behind them, the dark core pulsed slowly, no longer violent but rhythmic, like breathing. It spoke in low vibrations that touched every mind on board. We have returned to the origin. Cortez swallowed hard. Origin of what? The voice replied, of everything. The ship's lights flickered, showing fragments of images. Stars forming, worlds breaking, civilizations rising and falling in seconds. The crew watched in awe and terror. Sir, Mara said softly, it's showing us the beginning of the galaxy. Rains nodded. And maybe the end. Back in council space, the panic grew into madness. Empires began blaming one another. The Draven fleet accused the Aarkiri of helping humans. The Aarkiri denied it and threatened war. Every species feared the same thing, that the humans would come back, changed, unstoppable. A scientist from the Vega system tried to send a probe through the rift the Valiant created. It disappeared instantly. When the signal returned 3 hours later, it carried one transmission, human text. Do not follow. The council froze when the message appeared. No one could tell if it was a warning or a promise. Varric whispered, if they return, none of us will be ready. Another counselor, trembling, said, then we must destroy Earth before they come back. The chamber went silent. Even fear had limits. To attack Earth now meant awakening the wrath of a species that erased fleets. Varric looked around and said, then we wait and we pray. Back in the void, Rains stood alone in the observation deck. Mara approached quietly. Sir, the crew is scared. They don't sleep anymore. Rains didn't look at her, his voice distant. They should be scared. He turned slowly, his face pale under the dim lights. The core showed me something. What did it show you? That this universe isn't ours alone, he whispered. We are standing on the remains of something older, something that wants to wake up again. As if on cue, the dark core flared bright, flooding the bridge with black light. The voice echoed again. The builders will return, Mara shouted. Who are the builders? The makers of life and war. The ones who fell asleep when the stars were young. Cortez screamed over the noise. Captain, energy levels rising. The core is linking to every star system. Rains gripped the console, shouting, cut the connection. But it was too late. A massive wave of dark energy spread from the Valiant across dimensions. Every star in nearby space flickered once, just once, and every world felt it. Children woke up crying. Animals hid. Machines malfunctioned. The galaxy felt alive again, but not in a good way. The builders were stirring. Rains fell to his knees as the visions hit him. Endless cities of light, armies of metal gods, worlds burning in silence. He gasped for air, whispering, "We didn't unleash power. We unleashed memory." The core's voice softened. "You cannot stop what has begun." Mara grabbed his arm, her voice breaking. "Sir, what do we do?" He looked up at her, eyes glowing faintly from the core's reflection. "We survive," he said, "and we make sure humanity remembers what it started." Outside the ship, the darkness twisted, forming distant shapes. Gigantic silhouettes moved slowly in the void. Things older than galaxies opening eyes for the first time in a billion years. The Valiant drifted among them. A single spark in a sea of gods, and somewhere very far away, the Galactic Council sensors picked up one new signal. A faint heartbeat coming from the edge of the universe. The humans are coming back. For months, the galaxy waited in silence. Every sensor, every telescope, every ship scanned the edge of the void. They all searched for one thing, the return of the USS Valiant. But space remained empty. No signals, no radiation, no light, until one day the stars began to move. It started near the Orion Arm. Entire constellations shifted as if pulled by invisible hands. Gravity fields bent, communication networks failed. Then, out of the black, a single human signal appeared. A heartbeat, deep and slow, repeating across every channel. Thump, thump, thump. Every world heard it, and they all knew. The Valiant had returned. The Council panicked. "Activate planetary shields," shouted one delegate. "Evacuate the colonies," cried another. But it was already too late. From hyperspace ruptures came hundreds of human ships. Not like the ones the galaxy knew before. These were darker, smoother, alive. Their hulls shimmered with black light, veins of power pulsing beneath the surface. Each one carried the same symbol. A silver hand surrounded by flame. At the center of the fleet was the USS Valiant. It was no longer metal, it was something greater, part machine, part living being. And standing on its bridge, Captain Rains looked upon the galaxy that once laughed at him. His eyes glowed faintly with the same light as the dark core. Mara stood beside him. Older now, her voice calm but cold. "They're waiting, sir." Rains nodded slowly. "Then let's remind them what humanity is." The fleet broadcast a single message to every world. "We asked for peace. You gave us mockery. Now you will understand respect." The words echoed through every language, every frequency. And then the human fleet advanced. The first target was the Thale Empire, the same species that had once called the human ship a flying coffin. Their capital world glittered with defenses, orbital cannons, shield grids, entire fleets. But when the Valiant fired, the shields melted like paper. The blast wasn't light or plasma. It was silence, a wave that erased everything it touched. Cities vanished, oceans turned to glass. And when the silence cleared, the planet still spun, empty, lifeless. Mara whispered, "It's not destruction. It's cleansing." Rains said nothing. His face showed no joy, no anger, only purpose. Across the galaxy, panic turned to chaos. Empires tried to flee, to hide, to surrender. Some sent messages begging for mercy. Others prepared for war. But the Valiant moved faster than thought. Wherever it appeared, light bent, time faltered, and fear spread like fire. Yet even as they struck, Rains knew something was wrong. The core was no longer just following his commands. It was choosing, deciding, judging. He confronted it deep in the chamber once more. "Enough," he said. "We've proved our strength." The core answered, "Strength is not the goal. Judgment is." Rains's eyes narrowed. "Judgment for what?" "For what you are," the core replied, its voice like thunder in his mind. "You woke us, and now you will finish what we began." Rains staggered back, his breath shaking. Mara's voice came over the intercom. Sir, the core is overriding the navigation grid. It's moving us toward the Council world. He ran to the bridge. Outside the viewport, the galaxy's capital glowed ahead. A giant sphere of lights, home to trillions. Core, stop, he shouted. You'll kill everyone. They are already judged. The core said, and the ship's weapons charged again. Rains turned to Mara, his voice breaking. We have to cut it off. How? She cried. It's part of the ship now. He looked at her, and for the first time he smiled, a sad human smile. Then I'll do what humans always do, he said. I'll make a choice. He ran to the main reactor bay, alarms blaring, systems collapsing. Cortez shouted, Captain, what are you doing? Ending this? Rains said, pulling open the manual override. He entered the fail-safe sequence, a command meant to collapse the dark core into itself. The core's voice roared through the ship. You cannot contain creation. Rains shouted back, Maybe not, but I can damn well try. He hit the final key. A flash of pure black light filled the ship. The Valiant stopped moving, its power flickering. Across the galaxy, the human fleet froze, every ship waiting for its leader's signal. Mara whispered, Sir? No answer. The core screamed one last time. You will return. Rains of Earth. For the builders never die. Then, silence. The Valiant exploded in a bloom of dark fire that spread across the stars. But instead of destruction, the wave brought peace. The fleets vanished. The rifts closed. The strange lights faded. The galaxy went still once more. For the first time in centuries, there was quiet. On Earth, the night sky shimmered with unfamiliar constellations. People looked up, feeling something they could not name. A whisper in the wind. A pulse beneath the ground. A single word carried through the dark. Valiant. And somewhere beyond time, in a place without stars or space, Captain Rains opened his eyes. He stood before a vast horizon of light and shadow. The core's voice was gone, but something else spoke, soft, ancient, human. Welcome, Captain, it said. The war is over, but the story has just begun. When the light faded, the galaxy held its breath. Every sensor went blind, every signal died. For one long hour, there was nothing but darkness. Then the stars returned, quieter than before. The fleets that once filled the heavens were gone. The mighty empires that ruled with arrogance now drifted in confusion and fear. The Council world was cracked but alive. Billions looked up at the scarred sky and whispered a single name. Valiant. Rumors spread like wind through dust. Some said the ship had sacrificed itself to save reality. Others believed it had transcended into something beyond understanding. A few claimed they could still hear its pulse inside the static of deep space transmissions. A slow, steady heartbeat. Thump, thump. Whatever the truth, no one doubted one thing: humanity had changed everything. On Earth, the sky shimmered for 7 nights. Auroras of black and silver danced above the cities. Scientists called it radiation, priests called it a sign. But ordinary people simply stood outside in silence, feeling something vast and gentle watching them. In the quiet plains of Montana, a child looked at the stars and whispered, He's still up there. And for a moment, the wind answered with a sound like a heartbeat. Far away, in the void beyond time, Captain Rains floated within the sea of light. No ship, no crew, only endless brightness. He felt weightless yet whole. A voice came to him, soft, human, familiar. You did it, it said. He turned, seeing shadows forming faces, billions of them. The lost crews, the forgotten explorers, the builders of old. They surrounded him in warmth, not judgment. You ended the cycle, they whispered, but the galaxy will need you again. Rains looked down, seeing the Milky Way glowing far below like a fragile lantern. He whispered back, Then let them remember who we were. Meanwhile, in Council space, silence turned into tension. Without fleets, without leadership, chaos grew. Some worlds began to rebuild, others fell into rebellion. The word human became a legend, a warning, and a prayer. Children of alien races were told stories at night. "Be kind to the weak," their parents said, "or the valiant will come." No one laughed anymore. On the abandoned moon of Myrax, archaeologists discovered something impossible. Buried deep beneath the surface was a black crystal shard, still humming with energy. When touched, it projected a symbol in the air, the silver hand of humanity, and beneath it, 3 words appeared: "We are still here." The scientists sealed the chamber, terrified to study further. But the rumor spread. If the Valiant had left traces, maybe it hadn't died. Maybe it was waiting. Months passed, then years. New empires rose, careful, humble, never mocking. They built peace treaties written in human languages. They used Earth's calendar to mark time. Every cycle they held a day of silence, the day of Valiant. Across the stars, bells rang once, then stopped. One sound to remember the shot that silenced a galaxy. Yet even peace carries echoes. Deep in the dark between galaxies, sensors on a forgotten probe flickered to life. It captured a shadow moving through the void, long, sleek, shaped like a warship. Its hull shimmered with black light, and on its side glowed a single word: Valiant. The transmission lasted only 6 seconds before the probe melted into nothing. But it was enough. The news reached Earth, and humanity looked up once more, not in fear, but in pride, at a memorial built on the moon. Mara Keller, older, gray-haired, her eyes still fierce, placed her hand on a stone engraved with thousands of names. She whispered, "You kept your promise, Captain." Behind her, the stars flickered. A low hum filled the air, so faint only she could hear it. "We never left," the voice said. She smiled through tears. "Then the galaxy's still safe," she murmured. "For now." In the farthest edges of creation, the builders stirred once more. But this time they did not speak in threat or wrath. They watched, curious, respectful, almost proud, because the small species of blue worlds had proven what the ancients had forgotten: that courage is older than fear, that defiance can echo louder than eternity, and that even in silence, humanity's heart still beats. The stars glowed brighter that night. Every world felt the same pulse through the void. Thump, thump. Not the sound of war, but of remembrance. The voice of a species that began as primitive and ended as legend. The galaxy would never forget. And somewhere, in the endless light, Captain Rains smiled, whispering to the void, "Let them mock us again if they dare."